Welcome everyone to your Friday morning for all Hatha Vinyasa class. Hope you having a good morning. I'm Sylvie, and we'll get started on your backs this morning. If you have a block handy, maybe just have it close by in case we need it. I will be cueing. We're going to be doing a chair pose today, and I'm gonna demonstrate how to get into a couple of different variations of chair pose using the block. Or so if you want to have one close by, maybe having a skinnier one if you have one of those. If not, the bulkier one works too. Let's just take a moment here just to tune into our bodies this morning, checking in how we feel, doing a quick scan. Taking a regular breath in and out through the nose. If you're laying down, maybe option to let the arms float wide at your side, maybe palms facing up, separating the feet a little bit wider, and letting the toes fall out to the side. If you have lower back pain, I invite you to bend the knees and plant the soles of the feet into your mat. Maybe let the knees fall into each other. Just take a few breaths here. Tune into your body. Maybe adding a little wiggle of the shoulders. Maybe a little gentle nod of the neck. Working out any little kinks that we might have, just to get comfortable for a moment. Option to lift the torso up a little bit, lifting the chest up, tucking the shoulder blades together, and then letting the chest fall back down. And noticing how this feels, maybe helping into your relaxation. Just taking a nice, long, deep inhale through the nose. Pausing at the top. And letting the exhale come out nice and slow. Breathing in. Filling the lungs. Breathing out. Relaxing. Letting it go. Continue to breathe deeply on the inhale and lengthening the exhale a little bit longer each time. Perhaps a gentle constriction of the back of the throat as you inhale and exhale, creating a little bit more of a vacuum, a little bit more control with the breath, slowing down everything. Releasing any tension in the body. Be letting go of anything that's not serving us for our practice today. Any to-do lists, any issues we might be dealing with at this present time. Just letting it go for now. Everything will be there at the end of your practice. But for now, be present. You showed up on your mat today. You've challenged yourself with the hardest part of your practice, which is just showing up. Give yourself the opportunity of the present moment. Maybe setting an intention for your practice. Could be simple, could be meaningful to you. Here, present, reminding yourself throughout your practice of your intention. Combining it with the breath. At any point in your practice, if you feel any pain or discomfort, you take a moment to acknowledge those areas. Take a breath in, maybe modify, maybe rest for this pose if it doesn't feel good for you today. There's no right or wrong. There's no competition. Letting that go. Couple more deep inhales. As you exhale, slowly let go of the breath. And when you're ready, beginning to bring gentle movements to your body. That could be wiggling the fingers, maybe the toes. Maybe rotating your wrists a little bit gently. Your ankles. And if you're doing rotations, rotating the opposite direction, creating fairness in the body. What we do on one side, we must do on the other. Create homeostasis. Gentle nod of the head side to side. Just noticing how the neck feels this morning. Perhaps one side is more tense than the other, and just taking notes. Maybe some gentle yeses and nos. If your legs were extended long, maybe beginning to bend the knees, and just hug the knees into your chest. Be slowly drawing those knees towards your torso. Option to rest the hands on the knees, maybe interlacing the fingers over the shins, or perhaps even the back of the knees, whichever feels best for you today. You can stay here in stillness, give yourself some love, or you can begin to add gentle movements, rocking side to side or front to back with the breath. As you exhale, maybe swaying or rocking to one side, and as you breathe in, coming back to center. If you're rocking front to back, as you draw the knees close to the chest, exhale, and as you draw them away, taking a breath in, moving with your breath, flowing with the breath. You can even draw little circles with your knees, rotating the knees front to back, side to side, massaging your lower spine. Rotating the opposite direction if you are. If you're rotating or moving, maybe coming back to center, we'll keep that right knee to chest and we'll extend that left leg nice and long. Again, if you have lower back pain today, you may also bend the left knee and connect the sole of the left foot into your mat, just for a little support. That might actually just be enough to alleviate that pressure. Otherwise, extending your leg long, maybe paddling the toes up and down, flexing into the heel. Breathing into your body. Your hands were interlaced over your shin, maybe just releasing that bind and kicking the right foot towards the ceiling or the sole of the right foot. We'll get into a half happy baby here. So maybe taking the right hand and grabbing a hold of the outer edge of that right foot. You can also take your peace fingers, interlace them around your great big toe, or even also grabbing a hold of the back of the knee with your hands, whichever feels best for you. Really drawing that right knee towards your chest or your right armpit, the side ribs. Just staying in stillness here for a moment. That left arm could be spread out wide, resting on the ground. Breathing into that right hip. Let's just begin to bring gentle movements by swaying that leg side to side, or maybe rotating a little bit, drawing little circles, adding movement in that hip joint. Just being gentle and mindful. As you exhale, maybe rocking the leg away from the body, and as you exhale, as you breathe in, coming back to center. We'll take one more breath in here. We'll come back to stillness. And as we exhale, let's release that right foot all the way down to the mat, connecting the sole of the right foot, keeping that bend in the right knee. We'll take a breath in, lifting the left leg up, and we'll rest that left ankle over top of that right thigh, creating that figure four. Bring our arms wide at our side, palms facing down, just using your arms for support here. We'll add a little twist, breathing in to prepare. And as you exhale, let's release the sole of the left foot towards the right side. Just adding a little supine twist. Your gaze can stay directly towards the ceiling, or you can rotate your neck over to the left arm or left shoulder if you like. And just noticing that nice sensation in the left side of the glute, the hip, the leg. Just sitting here for a moment. And breathing. Two more full rounds of breath here. As you inhale, coming back to center, drawing the head to gaze towards the ceiling, using your palms to support your body with a strong core, lifting the legs back to center. And we'll keep that figure four. And let's just lift the right foot up and draw the right thigh towards the chest and interlace the fingers behind that thigh. Now you can rest that left elbow in the inner left thigh or into the crease of the knee, flexing the toes up, flexing into the heels to protect the knees, and just sort of adjusting the tension. The closer that right thigh is to your chest, the more intense the sensations will be. And as you draw the leg away from the chest, you'll notice more accessibility. You can even flow with the breath here. As you exhale, drawing that right side close to chest. And as you breathe in, drawing that leg away from the body. Just playing with your options. You can even gently rock side to side. You can even extend that right leg towards the ceiling, stretching out. If that right leg was extended long towards the ceiling, maybe just beginning to bend that right knee. And we'll release the bind behind the thigh. Let that right sole of the foot connect back to the earth. We'll uncross the legs, tick-tock the feet wide, about mat width distance apart, and you just give those knees a gentle rock from side to side. Noticing the differences from the right and the left hip. And just taking notes along the way throughout your practice. Rock the knees back to center, tick-tock those feet together. And we will take the right leg and create that figure four over on the other side. So resting the right ankle over the left thigh. We'll take a breath in here at center, and as we exhale, adding a little twist in the waist area at the navel, releasing the sole of the right foot towards the left side. Doing that twisted reclined pigeon pose. Option to keep the gaze directly towards the ceiling, or rotating your neck over to the right arm or right shoulder. Three more rounds of breath here. On your next inhale, rotating your neck back to center towards the ceiling, and using your palms, pressing into your palms to push the legs back to center, keeping that figure four. Again, we'll take another breath, and as we exhale, beginning to lift the left sole of the foot up, interlacing the hands behind the left thigh, and maybe resting the right elbow into the inner right thigh this time. Making sure you have a good connection with the back of your head and your tailbone to your mat. Again, adjusting the tension as you draw that left thigh closer to the chest, noticing more of an intense sensation in the right thigh or right glute. Flexing into the toes and the heels to protect the knees. Option to extend the left leg towards the ceiling, or maybe bending it or flowing with the breath. If your left leg was extended towards the ceiling, maybe just beginning to bend the left knee, releasing the bind behind the thigh, letting that foot relax back down. Pull on, cross the legs, planting the soles of the feet into our mat, and maybe again, tick-tocking the feet wide, rocking those knees side to side just for a moment. Falling. And as you rock your knees side to side, perhaps rotating the neck the opposite direction if you like. Seeing how that feels in your body, flowing from side to side, gentle rock. A couple more rounds on your own with your breath. On your next inhale, bringing the knees back to center, tick-tocking the feet together. And we'll just roll onto a side, whichever side you want to roll on, just getting into a fetal position, taking a breath or two here. And finally, when you're ready, using your top palm, pressing it into the earth, supporting yourself back up to a seated position. We're going to get into quite the intense hip exercise. Maybe having a block close by. And there's a couple of variations here for cow pose. And we're going to add a flow with eagle arms. So if you have really tight hips, there is the option of sitting on a block. This will help to lengthen the spine and sit upright. It will also help tilt the pelvis forward. And what we're going to do from there is we're going to cross the legs. So we're going to take the left leg under, bend the knee, and take the right leg over top. The knees don't have to stack over top of one another. That can be difficult for a lot of people. I have tight hips myself. And just keeping your sits bones connected to the earth, making sure that's still connected. If, the top leg is like this, that's fine. We're just trying to work with the hips here. If you start to notice your one hip is lifting, you can always keep the bottom leg extended long and trying that to see how that helps. If that's more accessible, you can try that. You'll still get the full benefit. It's scary. I know, right? Price is falling. So just finding what works for you. The bottom leg, if it's extended, maybe just lifting the toes up, just using the heel for support. Your legs are bent, just making sure that your sits bones are well connected. And again, you can sit in the block if you like, just to help sitting up. So there's lots of options here. So your right leg should be over top. Let's take a breath in here and rise the arms overhead, lifting them, reaching overhead. Exhale, let's just float the arms back down. We'll do a couple of flows, reaching the fingertips down towards the earth. Breathing in, lifting, redrawing the gaze overhead. Exhale, back down. One more time, breathing in, pausing at the top. And let's take that right arm under the left, creating some eagle arms. Now, if your arms don't wrap around like a pretzel, that's okay. Your palms can touch, maybe you're interlacing fingers at the top, or you can rest the palms on your shoulders. Lots of options here. It's up to you. And we'll take a breath in here and lift the elbows. If your arms are interlaced, lifting the elbows approximately around that shoulder height. Just taking a moment here and breathing. Gently beginning to pull that navel in towards your spine. And as you breathe in, lifting the elbows up, adding a gentle back bend. And as you exhale, let's hinge forward at the hips, creating a nice little flow with your arms. Your elbows don't have to touch your knees. It's more about flowing with the breath. As you breathe in, lifting the elbows up. And as you breathe out, flowing the elbows down. If your arms are resting on your shoulders, same thing. Breathing in, lifting up gently. Breathing out. And you'll notice as you flow with the breath, perhaps sensations happening in the hips there. Just breathing into those areas. You shouldn't experience pain at any point. If it hurts, please pull back or modify, readjust. This can be quite intense on the hips. Maybe one more flow. As we breathe in, we'll come back to center, pausing in our eagle arms. Take one more breath in, and as we exhale, let's windmill the arms up, floating the arms overhead. And as we exhale, floating the fingers back down towards the earth. We'll gently begin to uncross the legs. Maybe bringing the feet wide again. Maybe windshield washing the knees gently if it feels nice. I'm really working with those hips today. When you're ready, we'll take the left leg under this time. So bending the left knee, resting the left leg down, and taking the right leg over top. Now again, this side might feel different than the other, and that's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. If this is painful for the knees or the hips, you can always extend your bottom leg nice and long, which would be the right leg. And if you do extend the leg long, maybe pointing the toes up just to protect the knees, whichever works for you. Really rooting into those sits bones. If you're sitting on a block, making sure that you're not falling off of that block, you're comfortable, those sits bones are connected and rooted in. All right, let's take a nice breath in, float the arms up, reaching overhead, lengthening the spine. And let's float the arms back down on the exhale. Breathing in, reaching overhead. Breathing out, floating the arms down. The next time we breathe in, let's pause at the top. Our left leg is over top of the right, so let's tuck the left arm under the right, creating those eagle arms one more time. And if you're resting your palms on your shoulders, maybe just drawing the elbows at shoulder height. If you're interlaced your fingers, bringing those elbows at shoulder height. And just taking a moment here, adjusting. We'll take a nice breath in. As we exhale, beginning to crunch down or flow the elbows down towards the knees. They don't have to touch the knees. And as you breathe in, drawing those elbows up, adding a gentle back bend, drawing your gaze up, and just flowing with your breath. Being gentle and noticing how this feels in your body. And letting go of judgment. Again, this side might look different or feel different from the other. That's okay. One more flow. Let's come back to center on the breath in. We'll take a nice little pause here. And on the next exhale, let's windmill the arms apart and drawing them up overhead. And as we exhale, drawing the fingers back down towards the earth, nice and slow. Finally, maybe leaning back, uncrossing your legs, giving them a nice gentle windshield wash of the knees, or maybe you want to windshield wash the toes side to side. Bringing more blood flow in those areas. I'll just let the knees fall to one side. We'll remove the block from under us if we had one, and we'll find our way on our hands and knees. Getting into a kneeling position here. Then we'll extend that right leg nice and long beside us once we get there. Now, in our kneeling position, you want to check in and make sure that left hip is stacked over the left knee. You want to stack the shoulders over the wrists, spread those fingers nice and wide to distribute the weight evenly into your fingers. Imagine gripping your mat, maybe lifting the middle knuckles of your fingers and creating a suction cup in your palm. And if that doesn't feel good on the wrist, you can always externally rotate the fingers a little bit out to create space and alleviate tension in the wrist. That right leg that's extended long, you should have gentle micro bend in the knee. We're not locking that knee joint, and maybe connecting the four corners of that foot. The toes can be on an angle if that feels good, or they can be directly in front, whichever works. And then from here, let's do a couple of cat and cow. So breathing in, pulling the navel in towards the spine. And as you exhale, gently tucking the chin towards the chest, rounding the spine as you press into the palms and tucking the tail down. As you breathe in, lifting the tail up, releasing the navel down towards the earth and gaze forward. And keep flowing with your breath. Taking your time. Noticing any sensations in the hip, the spine, the neck. Maybe 3 more rounds on our own. Last round. And when you're finished, coming back to our tabletop position, we'll keep that right leg extended long, and let's add a little flow with the arms. So as we breathe in, lifting the right palm up, floating it up overhead, twisting a little bit, reaching overhead. And as we exhale, let's thread that right palm under the left. Breathing in, lifting up, reaching, opening up into the chest. Exhale, floating that arm under. Let's do 3 more flows with our breath. Last one, breathing in, lengthening. Pausing at the top just for a moment. And as we exhale, releasing that right palm back down. Gently bending the right knee to tuck that right leg behind us, and we'll do the other side. If you need a little break for your wrist, maybe rotate those wrists in between, maybe wave it out. Finding our way back on our hands and knees. And extending that left leg away from the body towards the left side, checking in with our foundation. The palms are nicely connected. That right hip is over the knee. The left sole of the foot is connected. Gentle micro bend in the left knee there. And that leg could be a little bit more towards the front too, or it could be more towards the back. Really just adjusting what works for you. Taking a breath in, pulling that belly button in towards the spine. And let's do a couple of cat-cows here. As we exhale, tucking the chin to chest, rounding the spine as you press into your palms, tucking that tail down. As you inhale, lifting the tail up, navel down, gaze forward. And just flowing with your breath. Noticing how we feel in those areas on this side. 3 more rounds. Last one. Finally coming back to our tabletop, leaning into that left leg, taking the left leg behind us. Let's separate those knees nice and wide. Touch those great big toes together and sinking the hips down for a wide-legged child's pose. You can walk the hands directly in front of your mat, stretching your arms long, resting your forehead down, or you can bring your arms at your side into the cactus arms, or even resting the arms behind you, resting the tops of the hands down. Whatever flows for you, whatever floats your boat. Just pausing for a moment here.
Taking a few breaths. Take a little break for the wrists, maybe rotating those wrists a little. 3 more rounds of breath here. And we breathe deeply and lengthen the exhale. On the next breath in, let's begin to lift the forehead off the mat, walking the hands towards the knees, supporting yourself back up. We'll land in a tabletop one more time, just for a moment. Let's press those palms in, spread the fingers wide. Beginning to curl the toes under and lifting the knees off the mat. We'll get into our first downward facing dog here. Really pressing into the palms to rest your head between your elbows. Finding length from the top of your head all the way down towards your spine, towards your hips. Creating that V shape with your body. Lengthening in the back of the legs. And just reaching the heels towards the mat. It's okay if they don't touch the mat. Keeping a micro bend in your elbows and knees. Breathing. A gentle tuck of the tail down to help engage that navel towards your spine. Lots going on in this pose. Broadening the shoulder blades nice and wide. One more inhale. And as we exhale, drawing our gaze between our hands, hopping, stepping, walking the feet towards the hands, sorry. We'll land in a forward fold here, connecting the four corners of the soles of our feet into our mat, keeping them about hip width distance apart. Let's take a breath in for a halfway lift, sweeping the fingertips up the shins, long spine, strong core. As we exhale, lowering down to a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And fold. One more time, inhale, halfway lift, strong core, long spine, and fold. On the next breath in, root into your feet, rise, push into your feet, lift up, breathe in. Exhale, let's dive to the earth. Nice and slow, gentle bend in the knees. Inhale, halfway lift. And fold. Press into the feet, breathing in, lifting up all the way. Exhale, dive. One more time. Inhale, halfway lift. Fold. Press into the feet, lift up on the breath in, reaching the hands overhead, pressing the palms together. And as you exhale, draw those hands together at heart. Inhale, reaching the hands overhead. Pressing the palms together at the top. And as you exhale, drawing those hands to the heart. And you're releasing the palms at your side for our mountain pose. Checking in with our posture, micro bend in the knees, stacking the shoulders over the hips, lengthening through the back of the neck. Be stretching a little bit tall as if you're trying to watch the sunsets over the mountain. Drawing the shoulders down away from the ears, rooting into your feet. Let's take a few breaths here. fueling our body with the breath energy. On the next inhale, let's sweep the hands up, reach tall. And as you exhale, let's dive to the earth. Planting the palms down, we'll land into our plank pose here. Option to rest, option to flow. For a modified version, dropping the knees down and just slowly beginning to lower the chest down as you bend your elbows back into your ribs, lowering down, hovering. And as you inhale, peeling the chest up for a baby cobra. Light on the hands, maybe lightly pressing the feet into your mat, lengthening the toes back, keeping your gaze towards the front edge of your mat, using the strength of your core to support your body. Pausing here for a moment. Breathing into your belly. One more breath in. As you exhale, release the forehead down. Press into your palms, push your chest up. We'll come back up to a modified plank. Curl the toes, lift the knees and the hips up. Downward facing dog. Paddle it out if it feels good. Walk your dog. Maybe wag your tail. On the next exhale, drawing your gaze between the thumbs, hopping, stepping, floating the feet towards the hands for a forward fold. Breathe in for halfway lift and fold. Inhale, reaching up, reaching overhead, lengthening. Exhale, let's dive to the earth. Inhale to halfway lift. Fold. Plant the hands down, step the feet back into a plank. You can flow here, you can rest, whichever works for you. Lowering down slowly, hovering the face just about an inch above the mat. And as you inhale, peel the chest up, baby cobra. Let's lower the forehead down. Let's rest here for a moment onto our bellies, forehead down. Let's lengthen to the back of the toes. Long legs behind us. Let's take our hands behind too. So floating the arms at your side, palms facing down and fingers facing the toes, the back. We'll get into a locust pose here. So we'll take a breath in. As we exhale, peel the forehead off of the mat, lifting your chest up, press into your palms and lifting the toes off of the mat. So you're using your palms for support and your pubic bone, you're pressing into your pubic bone, lifting the toes up and keeping your gaze down towards your mat. Breathing, resting as you need to. One more breath in. Exhale, release the toes, release the forehead down. Maybe just drawing the palms underneath your shoulders. On the next breath in, press into your palms. Let's come back up all the way. And we'll meet into our downward facing dog. Paddle the feet. Rest a little. On the next exhale, drawing the gaze between the hands, hopping, stepping the feet towards the front. Inhale to halfway lift. Fold. As we inhale, press into the feet, root up, rising. Exhale, mountain. Now I did mention we were going to do some chair poses. So we're going to do a couple. I just wanted to take the time and, sorry, you can't see me well. Take the time and show you different ways of getting into chair, because generally in chair pose, you have your feet about hip-width distance apart, your toes forward. When you get into your chair, you bend the knees, sink the hips down, and float the arms up.
what happens here in your chair is if you don't have that strength in the thighs to keep your knees right over your toes, your knees can buckle out or in, and that can be hard on the knee joints. So you can try using a block. And the point of the block is to keep that posture. So really rooting into your feet. And as you take an exhale and you sink the hips down, float the arms up, squeeze that block. So what happens there, you're creating stability for your knees so they don't buckle out. Your knees trek over your toes. And then it becomes easier to curl the tail down and lift your arms up overhead. Let's try it for a moment and see how that feels. Seeing if you can sink the hips. You should still be able to see your toes over your knees and maybe shifting your weight into those heels. And breathing. Inhale, reaching those fingertips nice and tall. Open up into the chest, broadening your shoulder blades. And let's float the arms back. As we exhale, floating the arms back overhead. Whew, hello. 2 more times. Exhale, arms back. Inhale, arms up. Last one. Exhale, arms back. Inhale, arms back up. Pausing. And on the next breath in, let's begin to straighten the knees, come back up into our mountain. Exhale, arms at your side. Next option for chair pose. I like to give the options because it's hard to do that when it's teaching. So if you don't have a block and you want to get into your chair pose quickly, you can always rotate the feet in a little bit so that the big toes touch. But you want to keep your heels about hip-width distance apart, just creating like a triangle with your feet. So your big toes are the point of the triangle, and your heels are going to be the base of that triangle. So what happens is when you take a breath in, and as you exhale, sinking the hips down, your knees support each other as you sink down. So it creates a bit of a foundation or a support for your knees. You might have to readjust the heels a little bit if they feel out too much. And just using your knees to engage your thighs will help too. And breathing in, lifting the arms up. Just a couple of options to try. And noticing the differences between using the block and not using the block. Maybe gently tucking the tail down, keeping your weight a little bit more towards your heels. Keeping that chest open. Let's float the arms back on the exhale. Floating them back up on the inhale. 2 more times. Exhale, arms back. Inhale, arms up. 1 more time. Release the exhale. And as you inhale, lifting up, reaching overhead. Exhale, arms at your side. Hard on the thighs. Great job, everyone. Let's find our way back onto our mat. Have a drink of water on the way down if you like. And when you're ready, gosh, kind of blood and having fun. Coming down to your mat. Taking a moment, coming back to the natural rhythm of your breath. Let's bring those arms wide, palms facing down, just for support. We'll bring those legs up to tabletop legs. Bring your legs together. Now, we're gonna add a flow, like a supine twist. If this doesn't feel good for you today and you don't wanna do this, you don't have to. Just listening to your body here. We'll take a breath in, and as you exhale, let's release the knees down to one side. Just getting into a supine twist. As you inhale, press into your palms and your arms to support yourself as your knees come back to center. Strong core.
Exhale, releasing the knees over to the opposite direction. Inhale, knees back to center. Exhale, over. If flowing doesn't help you, you don't want to flow, you can just keep your knees rested to one side. Two more rounds on each side. Last one. Back over. We'll take one more breath in, come back to center with our tabletop legs. Legs parallel to the ground. We'll draw those arms into our sides, so close to our body, keeping the palms down. Release the heels down, the feet down into the mat. Inching the heels close to your pelvis. Let's get into a bridge pose. You're welcome to have a block close by if you want to do supported bridge. We'll take a nice inhale here. And as we exhale, press into your heels, lifting the pelvis off of the ground as you draw your gaze towards your navel. Keeping the weight into your shoulders and your feet, engaging those inner thighs. And if you want to use the block, maybe just placing or sliding that block in the right spot under your tailbone and releasing the weight onto your block. You can keep the knees bent, or you can extend the legs nice and long for your supported bridge, or you can hold your bridge, whichever feels best for you today. I'll just hold for a few breaths here. At any point, if you need to come out of the pose, just bending the knees and lifting up to remove the block. Otherwise, holding for 3 more rounds of breath. Slowly beginning to bend the knees and planting the soles of the feet back under your knees. We'll take a lift of the hips to remove the blocks. And ever so slowly, as you exhale, releasing each vertebrae down back into your mat. And maybe hugging your knees to chest. Give yourself a big hug. Massaging your back. If you have any last minute poses you would like to practice before the final Shavasana, that's a good time. Maybe you want to do happy baby. Maybe you want to kick those legs up in the sky. Whichever works for you. When you're ready, making yourself comfortable onto your mat, just landing over which way you feel comfortable. You can use a bolster to support the legs, if you like. Maybe an eye pillow for your eyes. Maybe bending the knees and letting the knees fall into each other. Support the spine. Slowly making any last minute adjustments so that you remain as comfortable and as still as possible for the remainder of this practice. Beginning to find the breath again, the natural rhythm of your breath. Noticing your heart beating to your chest.
slowing down. Allowing any distracting thoughts to come and go. Beginning to release any tension left in the body. Unsquinching the brows, cheeks, the nose, softly closing the eyes, allowing the eyes to float gently towards the back of your skull. Relaxing the muscles around the lips. Allowing your jaw to hang down, relax. Letting your tongue rest peacefully towards the roof of your mouth. Releasing tension in the neck, the throat. Give your shoulders permission to fall heavy towards the earth, down. Relaxing the arms. Noticing the point of contact where your hands touch the earth. Noticing the body breathing as you inhale, the chest rising, the ribs expanding, creating space for the air to fill the lungs. The diaphragm relaxing down towards the navel. And as you exhale, the contraction of that diaphragm up towards the lungs, push the air out of the lungs. The rib basket closing, the chest falling. Releasing any tension left in the hips. Noticing the point of contact where your pelvis is resting on your mat. Releasing the tension in the legs. Moving down your feet, your ankles, your heels, down to your toes. Tuning into your whole body together. Noticing how we feel after our practice. And breathing into that sensation. Awareness back to your breath. Breathing deeply. And long. Slowly beginning to draw your attention back into your body. Slowly beginning to wiggle the fingers, the toes. Offering your body any gentle movements as it's transitioning from a state of relaxation to a state of consciousness. Back to the physical realm. Wiggling the shoulders, nodding the head gently side to side, front to back. Take your time. And when you're ready, finding your way onto a side in a fetal position, maybe pausing for a breath or coming back up to seated. We can end our practice with a few breaths together. Just rooting into our sits bones, and pulling the fleshy parts out of the way. Sitting nice and tall, stacking the shoulders over the hips, lengthening through the spine and the back of the neck. On your next breath in, let's sweep the hands up, reaching overhead, lengthening. Pressing the palms together at the top, and as we exhale, slowly drawing the hands together towards the heart center. Breathing in, lifting, harnessing energy, love, and peace along the way. And as we exhale, drawing that energy within. One more time, breathing in, lifting. Exhale, releasing. Maybe pausing, the thumbs lightly on the sternum for a moment. And if it's in your practice, bowing down to Mother Nature, thanking her for all the beautiful gifts. And the light within you shines and honors the light within each of you. Namaste. You're welcome. Have a good rest of your Friday. The sun poked out for a moment. Bye, Amy. Have a good day. Thank you.